My name is Dan.
I'm Frank.
And we're Wild Stuff.
Yes.
Basically, I'm from Astronomy Telescopes. I opened up about 2023. I don't know if any of you know what NEAF is, but NEAF is at the Northeast Astronomy Forum that we opened up the store then, and it was a nice time. So we've been open for about 3 years, and we've been doing a really great job. So I think you're gonna like what we got to show you. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to choose a telescope and hopefully how to use it. Unfortunately, the weather tonight might not be in our favor, but if you have a telescope or you brought one down and you have questions, we'll be happy to answer them at the end, and hopefully we can hook you guys up and maybe make things a little bit clearer. So just to give you a little bit about us, again, my name is Dan. I have about 20 years of experience in astronomy. I do a lot of extensive on-hand training with a lot of people. I did a lot, some people remember me from Camera Concepts when I worked there. Now I have my own business and I do a lot of stuff like this. I do a lot of training, I do a lot of teaching. So does Frank. Frank is actually part of the observatory director of Suffolk Community College, right? So, so I founded also something called Astroworld TV in 2019. Basically, this all started off as a YouTube channel. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. We have about 2,600 subscribers now, and then it turned into a retail store. So now we started off with Explore Scientific as our first dealer, and now we have up to 35 dealerships that we have, including Player One, Prima Luce, Celestron, Skywatcher, all the big ones, if you have any questions about any of those. Right?
Yeah, like Dan said, I'm the director of the observatory for Suffolk Community College. Dan was like my sensei when he worked at Camera Concepts. He's the one that turned me onto astrophotography. I got my first telescope when I was 12 and saw Jupiter as a dot about yay big and saw those little stripes and just said, I need to see more. I need something bigger. That's it, I'm hooked. And from then on, it just, you get bigger and bigger telescopes.
Aperture.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Aperture fever, that is a thing.
That's real.
It's real. And yeah, during COVID, when COVID hit, astronomy became a really large hobby because it was one of those things you could do still without having to have to go out. So that was a time when companies also started getting into astrophotography and the tech started going. So Dan was like my sensei. He showed me the way. And then when he left Camera Concepts, I kind of stepped in there
to take
over. I kind of stepped in there to work for him. And and Jeff is awesome. He gave us a great time. We learned a lot there as far as other stuff goes. And then now I'm at Suffolk and do a lot of outreach as well. So Dan does crazy outreach with YouTube and we do public outreach. So we have a lot of events where people come to the college. We just finished a new observatory deck on the roof of the college. So if you're always interested, if you're ever out that way in Selden, our Facebook page, Suffolk Community College, our events are always there. And we're going to do a big thing in the fall to kind of have a grand opening of the observatory deck and the new stuff going on into the observatory. So it's going to be a good time. Yeah. And then my rule in astronomy is keep it simple. The best telescope is the one that you actually use the most.
Yeah, so I use it all.
Yeah.
We'll talk about little stories about that because I was one of those people that actually bought a telescope and it ended up sitting in a closet for 5 years because you got so frustrated with it. So we've all been there. One of my biggest things with Astroworld TV and Astroworld Telescopes is, let's circumnavigate the bumps together. Between me, him, a lot of other people, we've hit those bumps. And if we didn't hit them, we know people who have. So we could definitely figure things out. So tonight is, like we said, like the title said, how to choose the right telescope and how to use it. The basic rule in choosing a telescope is what's your end game? What do you want to see? What do you want to take a look at? Because there's the right tool for the right job, right? So certain things are suited for other things. Sometimes you got a hammer, sometimes you got a saw. Same thing with telescopes, okay? So what do you want to observe? Do you want to observe? Do you want to take something visually? Do you want to look through an eyepiece? You're going to have a different telescope. Do you want to do electronically assisted astronomy where you're actually taking a camera and helping you view and looking on a laptop or a screen or a TV. A lot of people use that for outreach. It's very, very interesting when you start seeing Jupiter or Saturn, where you sit there and then you wait for a couple of minutes and it looks so much better because it's actually doing the work for you. It's pulling in all those photons.
Look at the planets, galaxies and nebulas
Galaxies.
when you're doing the EAA. It's just,
Like this.
Yeah, like that. Well, this is a little more.
There's a little more, but there's a picture I took from Levittown, and that's one that I took. But so, what do you want to see your image? Do you want to see the moon, planets, sun? And again, like I said, use the right tool for the right job. Then we're going to talk about reflectors, refractors, Dobsonians, and a slide that's not on there because it's fairly new, the smart scopes that we have here. Oh, sorry. So let's start with, who does refractor?
You do
I do
refractor,
refractor.
so why don't you come on over here?
Sure.
Let's
Yeah,
cross.
why don't we switch?
We'll switch.
Refractors over here.
No.
So refractors. Now a refractor is your basic telescope that most people have always seen. The light goes through the front, comes out the back into an eyepiece, right? So if you've seen a picture of a telescope, you're probably not thinking of something like this cannon. You're probably thinking of something like this, or something larger. This is a refractor, okay? It's most suited for lunar, astrophotography, solar if you have a good solar filter, okay? So they're also very wide field. They're very wide field. So when you saw the picture that I showed you with the green, that was done with this telescope.
Wow.
Okay? So you got to think about that for a second. You know, you sit there and you have a small telescope and you're pulling in all these photons. Did it take 27 hours to make that? Yeah, it did. You know, but you got to sit there and say, okay, you know what? This is the end of mine. I'm going to do astrophotography. I don't have to do visual with this unless I'm just doing the moon or the sun. Maybe some large deep sky galaxies from a dark sky.
And when you start off, you might also be starting off with a smaller refractor because budgetary restraints. You know, sometimes a smaller refractor is a little cheaper, but you're gonna have a trade-off on that.
Yeah.
And the one big thing to remember is refractors are all glass, or should be.
Well,
if it's plastic, then don't even.
Don't buy it. Yeah. So, like you said, all glass deals with, you know, some have 6 or 7 elements inside. Very, very well corrected. So your colors are nicer, your telescope stars are sharper. You know, these are the things that refractors are very, very well suited for. Like I said, astrophotography, you're not going to see much if you're dealing with planets, Jupiter, Saturn. You'll see it, but it'll be pretty underwhelming. Be a dot of bright light for Jupiter, and maybe Saturn, you might see a little bumps on the side with something like this.
But again, that's what got you hooked in the first place, is that little, I need to see more.
So some pros and cons of refractors. Some pros, like I said, excellent image quality, and it's almost no maintenance needed with refractor. It's a closed system, so dust and everything is very, very hard to get in there, as opposed to some other telescopes we'll talk about later. Cons, price. Refractors are relatively expensive based on their size. Something like this, small telescope, 51 millimeter telescope, 250 millimeter focal length, basically a camera lens, $795. For a 4, 5 inch, 6 inch telescope on a refractor type, you could spend $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 on it. Whereas if you get an 8, 9, or 10 inch Dobsonian, about $800, $900. Okay, well, you'll talk about the reflectors next.
So reflectors, excellent. So reflectors are all mirrors. So you have all glass, now we're gonna move to all mirrors. Your advantages with these now is that you're gonna get bigger apertures for less money. The one biggest thing about Newtonian telescopes is that this is where you get the most bang for your buck, because you're not dealing with a lot of glass elements. So when you are interested in looking more at a variety of things visually, this is going to be the telescope that you're going to want to go with. Especially if you're out here where it's darker, these things shine. So one thing you might, does anybody do photography in here, regular photography, or have any knowledge of f-speeds and f-ratios, focal lengths? So when you're dealing with refractors, you're going to be faster at telescopes. You're going to have f5s, you're going to be gathering light quicker. When you're dealing with bigger telescopes, which we'll go into next, you're going to be gathering light slower. The nice thing about Dobbs is that they're bigger apertures, but they also gather light fast. So something this big is probably the same focal length, focal ratio, if not faster than that little 250.
I think that's faster.
Yeah, this is probably an f5, f4,
Yeah, this is 5.9.
and that's a 5.9. So when you're looking through here, you're going to pull out more detail in, let's say, a galaxy than you would with a slower telescope. So these will give you a longer focal length than a refractor. They will give you more detail in what you're looking at because they gather light quicker. And they're also nicknamed light buckets because that's basically what it is. There's a mirror at the bottom, which is your focal mirror, and then there's just an angled mirror at the top. Now, if we go, and these are great suited, and also there's a different type too. If you have it on a tripod mount like that, or an equatorial mount, it's known as a Newtonian. If you stick it on a Lazy Susan and you do it like this, it's called a Dobsonian. John Dobson was the guy who invented these a long time ago. He was doing sidewalk astronomy in San Francisco, and he used sonotubes. I don't know if you remember seeing those things in Home Depot that you pour the concrete in, the big concrete forms, grinding mirrors by hand, putting them in the bottom, and then going on a sidewalk and showing people planets and galaxies on the sidewalk with this homemade telescope. And now, Dan's got an 18-inch one, and there's another one that we're picking up for the college that's at Custer right now that is a 25-inch mirror.
Yeah.
And they get huge, but the crazy thing is that for the same price that my entire astrophotography setup cost me, that gigantic 12-foot tall Dob was probably, I could probably have the same two for the same price.
Yeah.
Because you're not paying for all of that precision ground glass. It's a big mirror that's different. So this is where you get the most bang for your buck. Now, pros and cons. Oh, do we have?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Whoops.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, you mean,
Yeah,
oh
so
yeah, there it is,
there's a
Lazy
Lazy
Susan,
Susan.
yeah. And so again, the most bang for your buck because these are manual. So you are using a finder scope to find what you're looking for. You are using your arms to push this around, no motors. But you can get ones that do have motors and do have go-tos on them. This is not what you're going to want to use for astrophotography though. This is what you're going to want to use for visual. And this needs maintenance. So this is, so again, we talk about pros. Biggest bang for your buck, the largest mirrors, so you can get the most aperture for your money. And the sweet spot is 8. An 8-inch Dob is a great way to go. If you get a really good deal on a 6, go for it. If you get a better deal on a 10, go for that. But an 8 is usually the sweet spot, which make Cassegrains too. We'll go over those next. But
Debatable.
all right. I have an 11, so I'll be with you on that one. But that's aperture fever again. So if you're looking at an 8 and a 10 is only $100 more, like if you're on Facebook Marketplace and you find a good one and a 10 is only $100 more, go
Yeah.
for the 10. Get it, because you're gonna one day go, man, I should have gotten the bigger one. So this is an open system, which means you can see right in there. Everything gets in there. So unless you do this all the time, that mirror down there is going to get gross and dirty. And if you leave it in a humid place, like a garage or an attic, it's going to get what's called spider fungus. And if your mirror gets spider fungus on it, bye-bye. So you're not going to be able to scrub that off. And if it's on there for a long time, because I'm dealing with, now I found a 16-inch telescope in a closet in one of the towers of Suffolk Community College, a 16-inch Dob mirror, and it's got spider fungus all over it. I've tried everything so far. So it's going to have to get recoated. So you really want to take care of these things. So one of the cons is that you need to always cover this because it's going to get dust in there if you don't. When this thing, you're transporting this, you're taking this, you're putting it in the car, you're taking it out, you're putting it here, you're moving it all over the place. These mirrors are eventually going to shake themselves a little loose. So you're going to have to do what's called collimation. So on the back of reflectors are those triangles of screws. So you have 3 that are locks and 3 that are adjustments. And what that does is it tilts the mirror in all different axes to align with this mirror, the little one that's that mirror that's on the angle that comes out the eyepiece. So once you've got that one aligned, and there's a little laser that goes in here, then you align this one, and there's a little Allen key that goes in these 3 dots. I equate this stuff to changing oil or changing a tire. It's confusing the first couple times you do it, but like once you get it down, it's second nature. And when you're using Dobbs, the trade-off, the money that you save to get a much larger telescope and to see so much more, to have to do a little maintenance once in a while, is a good trade-off. The other nice thing too is that when, especially during the spring and the fall, when the dew point starts hitting, and all of that moisture in the air decides to just form little droplets and fall out of the sky, when you have a refractor, or one of these lovely Schmidt Cassegrains down here, or Matt Cassegrains, all of that moisture is going to go on that corrector plate or on the front of that lens, unless you have a dew shield or a heater on it. The nice thing about these is the dew just hits this. It doesn't hit that mirror, unless you're looking at things straight up, but you shouldn't be doing that anyway. It's easier this way. So, you can put a small planetary camera on one of these, because planetary photography is done with video. So you can do some photography with it, but it's not what they're made for. No. Again, you can make a piece of wood shorter with a hammer, but a saw is the right tool. So, and again, the collimation, the stuff that the maintenance is not large. And it's the same with newts, which are smaller ones, you know, just a smaller one that's on there. I think I saw one over there. That's actually, it's a Dob newt. It's kind of a tabletop Dob, which is the same. Again, just where it's positioned. So that's the same thing. You have the 3 screws on the bottom, 3 screws on the top. That's your collimation. It's once in a while. It's not all the time.
Yeah, you really only do the collimation once you start seeing an issue with focus. If your stars look like teardrops, that's when you want to worry about collimation. If you're able to get focus, you're able to get some detail, stuff like that, you can always get a little crazy about the collimation and get it exactly perfect. But you don't have to be 100% perfect for visual.
Right.
For visual. Like, just to give you an example, I'm going back and forth a little bit here. But if you take a look at that picture, that picture was taken with the Dobsonian in Levittown with the 18-inch.
Yeah.
And it was just a lucky shot. I wanted to see if I could do it. I've never done it again. but you know, dragging the 18-inch out to do something like that was just a little bit too much of a chore for me. So I'm getting lazier and lazier in my old age. So that's the solar. That was done with a camera lens, and that is definitely not my. I never took that. That is some sort of Newtonian. Might have been Hubble. Definitely wasn't James Webb because it doesn't have the 6. But you know that's that. So there we go.
So before you do that, do smarts, and then we'll go.
You want to do smarts? You do smarts.
All right.
You do smarts, and then I'll do your last.
All right. So smart telescopes. I know you guys just got one as a donation, right? Dwarf just gave you guys the 3. So these are smart telescopes. So we'll go into these next. So these are one of the greatest advances in astronomy ever, because this allows anybody who has a phone or a tablet to see galaxies, nebulas, planets, globular clusters, you name it. And it's all at the push of a button. The other side to that is that diehards are like, that's not real astronomy. So I understand that. But as humans, our cameras suck. These cameras are the worst cameras in the world. So the things, even when it is absolutely pitch black, and I'm saying when we're at a star party in the middle of Cherry Springs, Pennsylvania, 6.5-hour drive, you are nowhere. Just no, and it's a blanket. You don't even see constellations, there's so many stars. And you're looking through one of these, a 12-inch one of these, and you can see a nebula, just barely, with a special filter on there, and you're kind of looking at it. And it's just barely there. And you can just barely make out that some of the colors are red and some of the colors are blue. Then you take that giant 12-inch thing. Then you take this and you set it up on a little table and you push a button on your phone. And in 15 minutes on your phone is that nebula in full-blown color, beautiful color, sharp, insane color. So if you are somebody who has a very hard time with eye relief, and by eye relief, I mean one of those people who cannot, like literally, Jupiter is this big in the middle of a telescope. Everybody else has seen it, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. There's nothing in there. There's nothing in there. And it's right there. If you're one of those people, this is for you.
Well, just so we put apples and oranges together. Planetary is definitely not something you want to be doing with this. Just
you can get some good planet shots with these. Not horrible.
Pretty bad.
And solar. Yes.
If I wanted to do planetary, I wouldn't do that.
All right, it was a bad example.
Yeah, it was
Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah. Okay, let's say lunar and solar.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yes.
Piece of cake. You want to see
The
some
moon's
pictures
in
of this thing takes?
I should have said if the moon was in the middle of the eyepiece and you're that person that cannot
Moon was
see
part
it
of this
in the
planet,
middle
so
of
I
the
guess it is planetary.
Yeah, so leave me alone. It's closer than planetary. These are amazing because for something like this, like every single classroom can have one of these. Every single person can easily have one of these. This goes in your suitcase. This goes everywhere. And I've just been able to start traveling. The advent of what's called harmonic drive mounts, which are these, as opposed to, I don't know if some of you have ever seen some telescope mounts, but there are some gigantic mounts with these huge counterweights hanging off of them. And I have a telescope, my refractor is a little bit bigger than that one, it's an 81 millimeter, and I used to have to take out a 75-pound mount to put an 11-pound telescope on it. Because I also had a big telescope and I wasn't going to buy two mounts. Then these came out, and I saved up and I bought one of these, and now my mount weighs 11 pounds and my telescope weighs 11 pounds, and you literally just leave it set up and go like this. And it's done. That's why I said the best telescope is the one you use the most. So if you are the person that doesn't want to be bothered and you just want to go outside and set this up, hit a button, let it do its thing, orientate itself, and then go inside and take a trip.
Have a glass of wine.
Yeah, have a glass of wine and take a trip around the universe and let it guide you, or you go and see, like, you know, oh, I've always wondered what this looks like, or the Heart Nebula looks like, and you click it, and it just goes there, and in 5 minutes, you look at your phone and you're like, oh, I could start to make something out. And 10 minutes later, you start to go back and it gets brighter and brighter, and after like 15, 20 minutes, you have a picture of that nebula there. And the box is going to go around. You'll see some of these pictures. They're amazing for what they do.
We also have some brochures about these.
Yeah.
So
back here.
and again, these are amazing little scopes. And they come with special lenses to do solar work or to do nebula work. So you can buy different things that go on. And these are magnetized. They just clip on and clip off. And the other cool thing about, I know this one, I'm not sure if the Mini does it. I know the 3 does it. But like, if you're somebody who likes to go to a pond and take pictures of birds or things like that, you can literally take your phone, you're watching this thing look, and you can touch a swan. Or if you have a grandkid or a kid that's at a baseball game, this is on the field, you touch your kid and it will follow them.
Yep.
So, yeah.
This thing will follow people, birds,
It-
wildlife, rockets,
Yeah.
satellites.
Yeah.
It has such a large movement scale that it will follow pretty much anything. And you just click on, click on your phone, and it will just follow it all over the place.
So they're not only good for astronomy, but you can use them for other things too. So I also love regular photography as well.
And
So,
one of the best things about these also is that you could save all your pictures on your phone.
Yeah.
You could share them via Facebook, any Instagram, whatever you want to put. It's got integrated social media on the app. So you can say, oh, I just took this outside my backyard with door 3. There you go.
Have a
Here's
barbecue.
the Orion Nebula.
Yeah.
Boom.
What's the resolution on these?
So
Each one's different.
These are 30 millimeter scopes, pretty much, with a 662 sensor on it, so it's a small sensor. So you're not going to resolve something like with a 9¼ inch telescope. You're not going to get those Bach globules in nebulas. You're not going to get that strong definition in the clouds of the Andromeda Galaxy. But you give it enough time and you throw it in a processing suite, if you want to kind of play with the software, you're going to pull a lot out with that software. It's going to be nice. It's going to be better than those pictures that you saw in the back of the...
And that
Back
chip,
of the
that
box.
662 chip, is the same chip that is in the camera that I use for planetary photography.
Which-
It's the same chip, the 662.
No, what camera do you use?
The 662 ZWO.
So
Yeah.
not a
So if you
DSLR.
No, yeah, I
it's-
use
yeah,
a
it's like one of
dedicated
these
astronomy
guys.
camera. So I started with a DSLR. So like again,
We all
when I
did.
sold my big telescope and bought my first refractor, I bought a T-mount and put my cheap Canon T6 on the back of it, and that was my first, my first actual way to take astrophotography photos. So, but these are just, like I said, I've just been able to start taking my telescope and stuff on trips because the mounts now literally fit underneath the seat in front of you, like on an aircraft, so you can take them, and that will fit in a carry-on.
So I took this one to Nebraska State Park, and my wife didn't enjoy it, she was freezing. But, I mean, just to put it in perspective, I mean, everyone's saying, okay, you know what, how much does this weigh?
Yeah, I mean,
You
that,
know, I
that's
mean,
carbon fiber too.
I literally take this and close up the legs and carry it on my shoulder and bring it inside every night. And it's not a problem. But this thing, to your point, this is called a harmonic drive, and it has gears inside that are rated. It will hold up to 44 pounds of payload on here with no counterweights. You put counterweights, it's about 60. It's amazing what these things could do. These harmonic mounts have really revolutionized what we could do and how much we could put on without carrying literally 40, 60 pounds of counterweights in the back of your car.
The revolution from astronomy in the past 10 years is like, well, putting it into perspective is like how space travel has been since we first landed on the moon till now. The advent of this has now allowed us in the past 10 years as amateurs to take photos in our backyards that were comparable 10 years ago to stuff that NASA was doing.
Yeah.
How much is
100%.
it?
Oh, this whole thing?
Wait, yeah,
Oh.
that whole thing.
No, that whole.
Oh, wait, oh, no, do that one first.
Okay, so
Do that one first.
the mount is $3,000. The scope, this whole setup altogether, probably about $5,000 altogether. Now you go to something like this, $399, $549 without, like $600 with the tripod. So I mean, you know, there's things you can do to kind of get in here now that you couldn't do. You had to get something like this to get something decent.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to do it. If you want to see later, I do have pictures with both of these in my phone.
Yeah.
We did a outreach out in Kachog, and we were able to do some solar activity, and I was able to get filaments on the face of the sun with this guy. You're not supposed to get it with that. You're not supposed to get those without a
It
job.
was a nice clear day.
It was
a
beautiful.
beautiful clear day.
It was beautiful, and it was great, and I did M42 and the moon with these. So, you know, I just got them recently, so I've just been playing around with them, and it's been great. Yes?
Is there a way to make like the planetary photography that you could take with that better? Like hack it or not hack it, but like change the settings and stuff like that?
Now with
There
AI,
is-
yeah.
So there is a way to kind of add a lens with a 3D printer attachment
Oh.
with this,
Mhm.
not with this.
Not yet.
Not yet. I am sure, because what they did was they jacked this up, the magnetic one, they took it out, and they put a 3D printer thing to attach a lens on here, like a CCTV lens.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see the pictures that it come out with, but it's something very, very new that they've been trying to hack. So
Yeah.
there is stuff out there. If you have Bamboo Lab or if you have Bamboo Hand, you know, you got 3D printer stuff, you can definitely do something.
But if you're not interested in photography, is that something that you'd want to use anyway? I mean, you're really just looking at it on your phone,
On your
right?
phone or on a laptop or on a screen.
Right.
But the big benefit to these guys is that you can take this big monster out right here and put an eyepiece in there, and you could look at it, and you will be amazed at what you see with this. But it's big, it's bulky, it may be a little bit of a chore to take out. This, you sit there and you go, okay, you know what, I'm gonna put this right in my front yard, I don't care about anything else.
Depends on where you live. You might want to put it in the backyard.
I did it in my front yard with a street light right next to it. Right next to it, and it worked fine.
Which, that one or that one?
Both of them,
Both of them.
both of them. I did it on my front porch in Smithtown, and I left my lights on in the front just to see what would happen. And I'll show you the pictures. They came out really, for what it is, Came out really nice, and the M42, the Orion Nebula, looked amazing. It waited only about 31 minutes.
Yeah.
So the thing about this is that over time, right? Over time, the picture gets better and better and better. Even though your eyes, even though your dark adaptation gets better and better and better, it's never ever going to be as sensitive as even something like this.
Because you can do the time lapse, the long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It stacks.
It's called stacking.
That's true in any scope, with any type of imaging system.
Yep.
If you can really take.
You can do it with this. You can do it with that. You can definitely stack
Do it with
away.
one of those cassegrains all the time.
Oh no, yeah, I'll show you a picture that I took with that guy. Speaking of cassegrains,
Yeah, so now we'll move on.
we'll move on to cassegrains.
So you got glass?
So yeah, so
Mirrors?
now you got the combo. You got glass and mirrors in the Schmidt cassegrain. And that little beige kind of thing right there, that's a 9 1/4 Schmidt cassegrain from Celestron. Really good for zooming in and getting into those details. You know, you'll sit there and you'll get those little wispy kind of things from the Andromeda Galaxy. You'll see different stuff in nebula. Your planetary becomes actually amazing with it. Because what happens is, remember we spoke a little bit about focal length. We didn't get too much into it. But this is a 250 millimeter focal length scope. Okay? That's it. This is 35 millimeter, very small. This is 1200 millimeters. Okay, so we're getting a little longer now. We're getting a little bit nicer of a focal length. We're able to see more. You got 2350 millimeters in this guy. Okay, and this is why. With this type of telescope, light goes down to the bottom, bangs up, hits the angle, and goes out. Right, just bangs once. That scope goes right through the front, out the back. Now, when you get into this type of scope, the way this call says it's catadioptric scope, it goes through the correcting lens to a mirror in the back. Then it reflects to another mirror behind here, and then reflects out the eyepiece here. So you're really getting a scope 3 times this length in a smaller package. And that's what makes this so versatile.
That too.
That too. That too.
And expensive.
But I'll tell you another way. So this is a 9 1/4 inch telescope, 2300 millimeters of focal length. If you got a 2300 millimeter focal length refractor, it would cost about 20 times this, probably about $12,000 to $15,000.
Piece of glass on the front of it.
Yeah, it'd be the size of a dinner plate. You know, so that's something that's really, you know, you go to if you ever been to the Avalon Nature Preserve over in Stony Brook, they have a nice 8-inch refractor over there. That's wonderful. You see the planets, you see Jupiter and Saturn, that thing. Now you'll know why it's you know $20,000 for that scope, but it is awesome. But like I was saying with this is really good for zooming in. One of the cons on this is if you're doing astrophotography, you may not be able to get everything in one shot. Perfect example, the Andromeda Galaxy. Andromeda Galaxy is huge when it comes to a telescope. It's very large.
It's huge.
I could fit it all in this scope. 250 millimeters. If I go 2300 millimeters, now I'm zooming in. It's kind of like walking right in front of a TV. All of a sudden it gets smaller, right? Everything gets smaller. Now you're sitting there and you're only getting the core of the galaxy because you are so zoomed in. You're going to have to take 2 or 3 shots and put them together and stitch them. And you can do something called mosaicing, but that's a topic for another talk.
It's more advanced.
Star clusters, nebula, galaxies. This becomes your jack of all trades. This is the Swiss Army knife of telescopes. You could use it for everything. You could use it for solar. You could use it for lunar. Planetary becomes wonderful, especially at the really larger size, the 11 and 14 inch. If you can find a 16-inch Meade, good luck. But you know, they don't make them anymore. But these are definitely the scopes that you could use for everything. Yes.
So, with the collapse of almost all the big companies now, what's the future for it?
Great for Celestron because no one's left. Meade left, right? Orion's gone.
What do you mean?
I thought
So there are a couple of
No,
companies.
Celestron's.
Celestron's fine. Celestron and Skywatcher are
Yeah.
not a problem. So there have been a couple companies in the past, Mead being one of them. Mead was really great when
They
they were in
made those?
California. This is a select, that's a Mead.
Okay.
That's a
Remember
Mead.
walking through the mall back in the day, like you walk past like the sharper image and stuff, and you see the display of
That's it.
blue telescopes.
Yeah.
Like I know, I like always as I'm walking past something.
Oh, one of those.
One of those, and they're just.
And it was only $4.99 back then, but it's still.
Right, I know. But back then, $499
$4.99 is like
was
$3,000 now.
add 9
Is
to
that
that
a
now.
mead?
This is a
This is a
Mead.
mead.
This is a
What
Mead.
about the other one?
This is a Celestron.
Yeah.
So back in the 70s, they were always in competition with each other, always kind of. And then
Coke
Celestron
and
got
Pepsi.
the Celestron
Canon and
got
Nikon.
Leonard Nimoy to do an ad campaign for him, and they just took off. But they were always kind of in competition with each other. Now Mead, once they moved from Irvine, California, back in I want to say the early 90s. Jeff, you can correct me when I'm wrong. They moved all their manufacturing to China. They
Used to be in Japan.
It used to be in Japan, but when they started having their downfall was when they went to China, and a lot of their quality control kind of started going
Well, yeah.
down. They made a little bit of a comeback. They had some scopes. They made a little comeback, and then what happened was Orion bought them. Orion bought them and said, "Oh, we're going to save Mead." Well, they both went down. So it didn't work out. There was a lot of stuff in the background from what I hear about lawsuits and stuff like that. And I'm not even going to get into all that, but it's a shame that Mead and Orion. I love Orion. Orion was my first scope. Yeah, they've been around since 1972 or 3. Like,
So it's the businesses that are not,
no, the businesses are fine. It's the businesses that are running well are running well. Celestron is
but Mead
Take-
and Orion are no
are no-
longer.
are no
Okay,
longer.
So
Are
tell
no-
me about this one then.
tell you about this one.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking. This is the Schmidt Cascade. This is
Very great.
the Celestrons are fine for
Okay.
scopes.
Okay.
Mounts,
Are they
We
made
can
in
talk about
China or Japan?
everything's made in China now.
Okay.
Here's
It's
the
all made in
difference.
China?
Here's the difference.
Okay.
You can get a telescope that's on Amazon called like a G-Sky or
Geister.
some weird Geister or whatever, like some weird name off-brand. Okay, and then you'll look at a Celestron scope, and it'll look almost identical, except it'll have the Celestron name on it. The difference is that one scope may have been made in the same factory or on the same block, but Celestron has people doing quality control. The other place does not. So they just send out anything. Celestron is going through saying, this one is good, this one is not. This one is good. So you're paying for that extra quality control on something.
And just to point on
Yeah.
that, just so you know that I know my sales rep in the Northeast, they also do another quality control test when it comes into the United States to make sure it's okay. So, and if it's not good, they replace it. It's not a problem, but I'll be honest with you, I've had about 7 or 8 Celestrons and about 3 or 4 Skywatcher scopes. Never had a problem.
So how much is it?
That's about $3,000.
What about the other one next to it?
If you can find one, you can probably, if you can find one of these on like Facebook or something, you could probably get something like $500-600.
Depending on
But
the size, some have been cheaper. I just
Yeah,
saw a couple
but-
that have been cheaper.
something with this ETX type scope, it is inherent with failures. I wouldn't suggest you to buy it because the motor dies all the time and the focuser falls off all the time.
This is one of the
So-
reasons that
so-
Mead is no longer around.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, when the ETX line came out, it was outstanding. You put it in a backpack.
Yeah.
The tripod was in the backpack. Everything was good and it was fine. And then they moved to China.
This is the new ETX basically.
Yeah,
Like, this
pretty
is the future of it. But if you can find, and people sell them all the time, older Mead telescopes. If you can find one with a Japan sticker on it,
Yeah.
grab it.
Get it.
All right. Even if it's not, even like an older LX90. That was my first 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain. I got mine back in 2009, I think it was, for like $550. So if you find one, and I just looked on Facebook Marketplace, they're there. You can find an 8-inch, just a regular old 8-inch Mead Schmidt Cassegrain for like $300 or $400. But you don't want to use any of the electronics that are in it. You want to buy a nice mount and put this, which is just called an optical tube, on a different mount. Don't use the Mead electronics. These, as Dan was saying, the folded optics, this is a Moxitov
Mhm.
Cassegrain. So
Yep.
this is a little
It's
bit
like a
different.
F12, I think.
Yeah, so,
Twist.
yeah. So these have almost like what this has in the center, except it's built,
Concave.
it's concave, this one.
15 at 15.
Okay, that's an F15. So now the focal ratios, slower focal ratio grabs a lot more light. So when you are looking, like this thing is
Lot less light.
lot less light, sorry. This thing is gonna give you planetary beast. Like for bright objects like planets, that's what you want. You
Just
want
to give you a point that we were talking about focal length, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is, what did I say this was? 2350, right?
Yeah.
1900.
That has
Almost
a
the
longer focal
exact
length than
same
this.
focal length. So, you'll be able to resolve things a lot better in these. And because this is like what Frank said, a slow telescope where it grabs the photons slower, you're able to get those bright objects dimmer. So your Jupiters, your Saturns, those really, really bright things that are far away,
No.
Oh.
Your picture of Saturn, I was gonna say.
oh,
The rings. That's a big one, okay? When you were looking at Saturn with something like this on a clear night,
you'll see it.
the resolution
Yep.
in those rings, you're gonna see all three, the divisions. You're gonna see them as you come through. Like,
It's better to be really
kinda
big.
fuzzy here, you're gonna see it clear with your visual eye with this type of telescope. So when you're getting up in those focal ratios, that's like, you wanna be looking at planets, that's where you wanna go. Right? And then, as Dan was saying, it is the Swiss Army knife of telescopes as far as the Schmidt-Cassegrain.
Yep.
And Swiss Army knives can be expensive. And the bigger your telescope, the more expensive the accessories.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we were talking about dew before? If you buy one of these telescopes, the first thing, like you don't even buy one without buying a dew shield for it. Because the first night you go out to use it,
Half an hour later.
it's fogged up and your night's over. That's it.
Just to give you a little story, so my first time, we were talking about Cherry Springs, the Star Party, right? So my first Star Party was 1999. And I took my 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain, didn't know what I was doing. Threw it out there, and all I know is I'm in a dark sky and it's wonderful. I see everything. I get there about 2 o'clock in the morning in Cherry Springs in the mountains. All of a sudden, it gets a little dimmer. Everything's getting dimmer. And I look in and I just start to what, and all of a sudden what you do, if you've ever been to a Star Party, at 2 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden you start hearing, and what you're hearing is people turning on hand dryers, hair dryers, to blow, just to get the extra half hour of stuff that people that forgot their dew shield or dew heater or stuff like that. They have 12-volt hair dryers that you can actually plug in and get the dew on there. And you hear that a lot at Cherry Springs. So it's a lot of fun. But, so just some pros and cons again. It's very easy to transport. It's great with focal length. It's good for that zooming in capability of nebulas, galaxies, small clusters. You're looking at planetary nebulas, all these types of things you're going to get with this. The con of that is you're at a long focal length, so you may not get some of those bigger things in one shot. Again, you could do multiple shots to put them together, but you're not going to get them in one shot. Compared to a Dobsonian, like that, a little bit more pricey. If you're going to get a 2300 millimeter Dobsonian, this is what, 1600?
This is 1200.
1200. 23, this is $3,000, this is 500. So it's definitely inch to inch, it's a little bit more expensive. Really good with planetary imaging, really good with deep sky imaging. Again, we spoke about collimation with this, the aligning of the mirrors. This you need to align. You don't necessarily need to move you don't move this piece. This is just a correcting lens. That's all it is. You just want to make sure that this mirror in the back and this mirror in the front are parallel to each other so you're getting a good focus. It's very critical with longer focal lengths to be collimated well, because the errors in collimation will show up a lot quicker at higher magnification than it will in lower magnification.
Do these come with that laser device you were talking about to do that?
Well, here's the thing, right? With this, no, it doesn't come with it. I'll answer that real quick. But here's the thing, you don't need it. You could do collimation with a nice star.
With a what?
A star.
Oh,
You look at a star, you bring it out of focus, and what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a bright outside and a donut hole. You wanna get that donut hole in the middle. And focus in, donut hole. By using these screws, you're changing this where that donut hole is centered.
is it a combination of the?
No, it's just this.
On the Schmitz, it's just the
It's
front.
just that,
not
there's
like
nothing on the back.
One of the backs.
There's nothing on the only one on the back is the Dobsonian and the Newtonians.
Okay.
Did I go too far? No. Okay. So, like Frank said originally, which scope should I get? Well, the one you're going to use, right? You know, you don't want to do what I did for 5 years and put a nice 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain in a closet and let it sit there because I got frustrated because I was in a Portal Lake sky and couldn't see a darn thing, let alone find something. Very hard to do. Nowadays, a lot of telescopes come with go-to mounts, right? What that means is that after a simple aligning process, the telescope will go to whatever you want to see, as long as there's no trees in the way, that kind of stuff. Okay, so it will go there, and as long as your alignment is good, it will just go there, and that's how I learned the sky, because it's so hard. It's hard on Long Island because of the light pollution to see things. You may look at one of the brightest things, M13, which is a huge globular cluster in Hercules. It's the fourth biggest globular cluster out there. It looks like a smudge from Long Island. The first time I saw it in my 8-inch Schmidt, actually I had to go like this. It's a little trick. You think you see it, but you need a little movement in there to kind of make sure that smudge is really there and it's not something. So you do this very lightly and you'll see the smudge move and the stars will move with it.
Smudges.
Right? Smudges in it, smudges
I've
can be.
seen smudges.
So I've seen smudges too. Now my wife tells me I got cataracts, so I mean, but that's what we had to do. So get something that you can use. Like he said that the sweet spot's the 8-inch. If this is an 8-inch, if this is too bulky for you, get the 6. Get the 6. You don't want to buy something that's too heavy and too bulky that you're not going to kind of bring outside.
Right.
Maybe something like these guys are where you want to be. Maybe it's something a small refractor, which in my opinion is the way to go if you're doing photography. Or maybe something like the ETX and make something similar like that, or a motorized dial, a small dial.
Or collapsible dial. They make versions of that where the top half of it is 3 tubes, and you just turn down these little things, and
it goes down.
It becomes half the size of that.
And very easy to carry.
Yeah.
Very easy to carry.
What's the purpose of having it so long?
Focal length.
So
That's what gives
yeah,
it.
just to give you the resolution that you want based on the size of the mirror. Usually the longer the focal length, the bigger the mirror.
Yeah.
You know, so like with my 18-inch, I need a ladder. I need 2 steps because I can't see at the zenith.
No joke.
I can't see, I'm too short.
Yeah.
So that being said, as you get longer, so this is an 8-inch, now an 18-inch goes up here. I got a picture with my 9-year-old, well, she's not 9 anymore, but my 9-year-old niece was playing with it, and she's like here, playing around with it. She tripped, and it was pretty funny. But it's definitely one of those things where focal length gives you the resolution, right? So what focal length gives you is you're able to see those small details. You're able to see like the barges on Jupiter, those little white spots. You're not going to see that with something like that because it doesn't have the focal length to resolve those small objects.
What if you want a large light bucket, but with a shorter focal length,
Aha.
like 600 millimeters?
You want to answer?
Yeah, so
Sure.
yeah, absolutely. So just go back to
So
go
the
back one
question
slide.
was, what if you want a long focal length and a shorter package, I think, right?
No, the other way around.
You-
A shorter focal length, but a large light
Right.
bucket to collect the light.
Oh.
So now go back one slide. Okay, so see this right here? Very versatile, can accessorize. So remember what I said about like there's accessories that go in here, like you buy the douche sheet.
Right.
Now, if you want to start getting into photography,
Right.
you're going to get what's called a focal reducer. Now, here's the kicker. When you are buying a Schmidt Cassegrain, which is an expensive telescope to begin with, as you get bigger in aperture, Guess what happens to the accessories?
Really more.
Oh, yeah.
A lot more expensive.
So, there's normal versions of Schmidt-Cassegrains, and then there's these versions, which are called edge versions. So these have extra lenses in the back to help flatten the field. So they give a little bit more of a crisper picture, so they're a little more expensive. But the focal reducer for a regular 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain, I think it brings it from an f10 to an f6.3. Okay, drops into about an
Well,
f6.3.
that's a 7.
Or a 7.
It's a 7. The 6.3 is not the 5.
It's like $200 for that focal reducer. How much is your focal reducer for the Edge 9 1/4?
$7.95.
And now how much is the focal reducer for my Edge 11?
I think it's like 1,300.
That's just for a focal reducer.
Yeah. So the thing with the kicker with the focal reducer is, yeah, it gives you that light grasping,
Right.
but again, here's the problem with that. You give up focal length.
Right.
So-
The other approach would be putting the camera on the front. We have that.
So there is scopes that do that.
Right.
There are scopes that do that. You buy what's called a Hyperstar,
Right.
and that gets you at f2, but again, at the expense of focal length.
Right, right.
So now an f2, and now you're at 475 millimeters now,
Yeah.
instead of 2,000 millimeters, but now you're able to do the Andromeda Galaxy one shot very quickly
Right.
because you're grabbing those photons so fast.
Right.
You're grabbing that, but for the Edge, a Hyperstar
Yeah.
is about a third the price of the scope,
Right. Right.
$1,500.
Right.
You know, but if you want to do, I got a friend, Wayne. Oh, God, I forgot his last name. He's in Canada. If anybody remember White Tiger, the band? No. Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right, well, whatever. He was a bass player, and now he sells Sky Observatories. I'm dating myself here. I'm sorry. Come on, I'll show you the video later. Okay? It's fun. But he has a Hyperstar, and he does Hyperstar work from Canada. And he takes some amazing. He's like, I don't have time for this. I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna do 2 hours, and that's all I'm doing. And he takes amazing shots with a Hyperstar. Put a lot of money into it, has his own observatory, it's all remote and all that kind of stuff. But there is a place for that. There is a place. Now, if you go on the flip side of that, my buddy Ron Breacher up in Canada, who does Masters of Pixel Insight, he does a lot of processing stuff. He got a 14-inch scope. That's f11. He shoots it natively. He doesn't want to give up any focal length. So he just shoots at f11 all day. And let me tell you something, he's got 2 APODs, which is Astronomy Picture a Day from NASA,
Yeah.
with that scope, at that focal length. So there is, it all depends on what you want to do.
If you're trying to do scans to see what's changing over time, though.
Sure.
use one of the F2 scopes with a lot of light and slowly sweeping it across, or letting the sky move by, taking repeated images every.
Oh yeah, you could do an entire time lapse and go right across like that.
And you can see changes in the luminosity and everything else.
You can see that. You can see the Milky Way go across. You'll see all the satellites go across, which
Right, right.
will bug your mind out because there's so many of them that you have no idea. You know, even the ones you don't see.
You see Cleopatra supernova going off too.
What's that?
Cleopatra supernova.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And 101, I got a picture of when it happened. What, 2 years ago?
Oh, good.
And there's another one that just happened last year.
Yeah.
And we're all waiting for the big one. We're all waiting for Beetlejuice to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
It
bad.
may already be gone.
It might be gone already. We might find out tomorrow.
And again, for those of you who aren't kind of familiar with the photography stuff, when we're saying faster, that even means you're going to take your pictures faster. So for somebody who's taking a picture of Andromeda at an f5 focal length, and then somebody's taking a picture of Andromeda at an f10 focal length, it's going to take me, let's say I'm doing a 3-minute exposure at f5, at f10, that same amount of light is going to take twice as long to get that picture.
More.
Even more.
Well,
Oh,
about
yeah,
4
no,
times as
About
long.
4, that's right.
Yeah.
It quadruples. So, and then also people are into mono versus color photography. If you don't have time, you're going to go with color. Because everything is time. If you don't have time to set up a telescope, then the simplest telescope is the one that you just go out and put button. If you do have time for certain things, that's where you're gonna train and go and say, all right, well, I do have time to set up that little bit more of a telescope and do a little bit extra. If you don't, you can do some of the same things. Like I do astrophotography in color.
I don't.
These guys do it in mono.
And the reason for that is mono cameras are just a little bit more sensitive than color cameras. Color cameras have something that's called a Bayer matrix that's layered on front of the chip. And what that does is that Bayer matrix allows you to be color. The mono camera does not have that Bayer matrix on it, so it makes the camera a little bit more sensitive.
But that means that for my 2 hours of astrophotography that night, Dan
Take
takes
6.
6 hours of photography, and sometimes more depending on the filters that he's using.
Right.
Because you have red, green, blue. If he's doing oxygen,
Sulfur,
hydrogen, sulfur, there are 7
Nitrogen.
place rotating filter wheels that you can put on there, and it will go all night long. I have a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old and a house and other jobs and things, so I
And
can't. Yeah.
No kids, 2 dogs.
Exactly. So these are the things that you need to think about when you are going to go and purchase a telescope, because it really, really matters. And if you only have a certain amount of money for a telescope and you're set on saying, I want to spend $150, this is where Dan is going to go into now of what to avoid doing with that $150.
So real quick,
Yeah.
before you get involved.
Yeah.
So what's the practicality of using like a DSLR with the edge?
Why not? That's how I started.
That's how I started.
Yeah, that's how I started. I put my T3i on the back of my 8-inch scope, and I was taking from Cherry Springs. I was taking M42, the Andromeda Galaxy. I was taking other, you could definitely do it. You just need the right adapters. That's all you need. You need a T adapter and a bayonet adapter for whatever camera you have, and you push it right in the scope. And if you have a reducer, you turn it on the scope. That's it. You're good.
Oh, cool. When you were talking about filters, I'm on some of these Facebook pages.
Sure.
And what they talk about are putting filters in the camera.
Clippings,
Just
sure.
behind the lens.
Yep.
Is that,
You could definitely do that. The downfall to that is every time you want to change that filter, you got to open up the camera. The odds are you're going to get some dust on that sensor cover plate.
mhm.
You could get that stuff out with using calibration frames, and we could get into flat starts and that's a whole.
That's the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The rabbit
That's
hole
all
of
they-
astrophotography.
But
I've
the
done that.
but the clip-ins, if you're just doing color and you're using what's called like a light pollution filter or an L Pro or something like that,
Those are the,
yeah, you plop that in there and it works fine.
okay.
And it works fine. The one thing you might see with certain, especially the cheaper ones, you might see a little color degradation with it. Maybe things that are a little bit too green or blue or aqua even I've seen. It's very, very odd. But there are some ones out there, like Astronomic makes really good ones, where you can drop the clip in there and there's no color. You don't even have to take color balance. It's nice. But, so,
Wait, we got one more.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something about eyepiece choice? 2-inch, 1/4.
Sure.
Any statements about which ones, how much money to put into a 2-inch or not?
well, you think about it. So 2-inch and 1 1/4, right? One you're looking through a big pen, and one you're looking through a tailpipe. Okay? So you're getting a lot of wider field of views and a lot of more range of magnification as well. Okay? So that being said, how much you want to spend? You could spend a lot of money on a 2-inch eyepiece. You could get an Ethos from Teleview. Was it 100-degree field of view?
Yeah.
And you could spend up to $1,000 on that eyepiece. You could get the new Pentax line. Nice eyepieces, probably half the price. So Explore Scientific has great nitrogen purge 2-inch eyepieces, half the price of a Teleview. Now, I personally like Televiews. I like them because they're made well, and I know that they're the cream of the crop. They're some of the best eyepieces out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Just like any hobby, there are the ones to avoid.
Which we're getting into.
We're gonna get into those. There are the ones that are the workhorses that are right in the middle. That if you're a beginner and this is what you want to get into, those are the ones that you get. Because not only are they gonna work when you buy them, when you go to upgrade, you're gonna be able to sell that. And it's not gonna be junk. Because you didn't put your money into junk. You bought something that's decent, right in the middle, okay? Or a little bit better than that. And then, if you are somebody who has the budget, you can go with the Ferraris. You can buy the Takahashi scopes. You can buy the Ethos lenses. You can, I mean, there are people who come to star parties with a Dob, a beautiful, like 18-inch Dob, and a suitcase that is worth more than every vehicle that I have ever driven since I had a license. I'm not kidding. The eyepieces that are in there are like purged with noble gases so that no dust is getting in there. There's nothing that's getting in there. And when you look in it, you're not just looking in the eyepiece. You can literally, like when he says 100-degree field of view, all right, you're 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 100-degree field of view. So when you're looking in there, you have to look around to see everything. Like you literally climb into an eyepiece when it's that big. But you're going to spend lots of money on that.
And if you want to even get crazy, they just came out with a new eyepiece from Pegasus.
This company.
From Pegasus, that is a camera inside the eyepiece.
You're looking
So
at
there's an
screens.
eyepiece you put in there, and it stacks inside the eyepiece and gets better and better as just like any other EAA, and you pop it in there.
And the advantage to that is
And you can save the pictures,
Here.
you can download it.
you could put it in here, you could put it in
Well, no, you
here.
can't put it in there.
Put it in, you would probably put it in
No,
there.
it's 2 inch.
Oh, whatever. Anyway,
So,
the point
but
is you can transfer it to any telescope. So you can use that camera. You're not just stuck with like here you have a 30mm. Now you can just choose your focal length.
yeah, just to put it in perspective, though, that eyepiece is 2 times most of the most expensive Ethos eyepiece.
Yeah.
So it's about $2,000 for that eyepiece.
But there's such a possibility that kind of eyepiece is just too good for some of these telescopes, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would not take a $1,000. Well, maybe for this I would. This I wouldn't put an Ethos in there. I mean, then there's no point.
Yeah.
You're going beyond the capability of resolution of the scope. But do not underestimate the power of the eyepiece.
Yeah.
You could have a really crappy telescope, and with a good eyepiece, you would get a such better image as with a crappy eyepiece and a really good telescope.
On a really good telescope.
In my opinion. I've done both. I've
Yeah,
done
it
both.
stays with you.
It could be the cataracts talking. But in my opinion, the eyepiece is definitely where you can put some money into. You could get a telescope like that for $500-600 and put a really nice eyepiece in there and get some good views.
Yeah.
So, but some common beginner mistakes to avoid. I know it's small, I apologize. I forgot to raise the font on it, so apologies. Please, if you see a scope that says 400 power and you got a nice picture of Saturn and Jupiter with all the resolution, you can run. Don't get it. If you're getting it for a 3-year-old, fine. If you're getting it for yourself, you're gonna be more frustrated than anything. You're not gonna see what you want to see. It's just a really bad idea, and you're never gonna see that picture that you saw on the box. Never gonna happen. And there's something called Dawes limit, right? So Dawes limit is a theoretical maximum magnification of a telescope. Usually somewhere between 200 and 250 is kind of where it sits. So remember when I sit there and I was talking about moving too close to the TV? You ever when you were, again, I'm probably dating myself, but you ever when you were a kid, you walk up to the TV and you wanted to get so close to the TV and then you were able to see the yellow, the blue, and the red dots in the TV?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Remember that, yeah.
But what happened to that picture? It got so dim and fuzzy, right? You couldn't see a darn thing. Your parents would always say, you're gonna go blind, right? That's what happens when you exceed Dawes limit. Things get fuzzy, they get darker, and it's really unimpressive. So make sure that you sit there and run from those 400 power scopes. Don't underestimate the mount. A mount will definitely give you some stability and less frustration. There's nothing more frustrating when you sit there and you get a telescope and you have a bad mount, and you put your eye next to it, and the whole thing is moving like this. And you're like, I'm not touching it. It's like one of those things
Wind
where
will do it.
Wind will do it. Wind will definitely do it. Like this is a wind sail.
Yeah.
This will definitely shake. But you want to sit there and you want to have some stability with your telescope in order to keep it stable so you have a good observing experience. You're not going to sit there and, it looks like your head's bobbing back and forth.
Cheap tripods like that is what's going to give you that. So
Yeah.
if you have a telescope sitting on something like that doesn't have, like, this is different. The cross brace is up here, and this is carbon fiber. This is totally new technology. But if you see some of the older mounts, they'll have the spider that comes across here that holds it a little steadier. Some of them even have where you can have a weight that hangs
Yeah.
off of it to give it more sturdiness. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that you don't want to look at like that on your deck, especially if your deck is on the second level of a house or something. You're just never going to see
The
it.
wood bouncing
Yeah.
and yeah.
You want solid ground, solid base, just like everything. So stay away from those things.
And after fever,
Yeah.
we said it a couple times. It's a real disease. It's real. You got a 3-inch, you want a 4. You want 4-inch, you want 5. You want 6-inch, you want 8. You want 10, you want 12. It is a real thing. You always want to see a little bit more. But just remember to keep your end game in mind. What's good enough? What do you want to see? Sometimes maybe it's a 9 1/4. Sometimes maybe it's an 8-inch top. Save the money. It all depends on what your end game is and what you're going to use. You always want to do that telescope that you're going to drag out in the middle of December and see that Orion Nebula for the first time. Because that is amazing. When you see that for the first time, it's unbelievable. I even saw it from Long Island. I love it. That is probably the most photographed object around, and probably the one that's the most abused too, because people keep on screwing it up. So it's a very hard object to process, but I screw it up all the time. I've been taking pictures of it for 20 years, and I'm still not happy with it. And plan for the inevitable. We spoke about dew. We spoke about eyepieces. We spoke about everything. So make sure that you sit there and get that dew shield for that, to keep that dew off that lens so you don't fog up. Remember the hair dryer's going off at 2 o'clock in the morning? You don't want to have that. You don't have to worry about dew. You don't have to worry about anything. It's fine. Anything that has a lens up to the front, you want to keep it into consideration. That's got a lens in front, but that also has a built-in dew shield.
But the dew shield, but it also has.
I have a strap on there too. See that black strap on there? That heats up that dew shield to keep the temperature above ambient so the dew does not settle on the scope. So it keeps it hotter.
These.
What are they, like battery powered?
12 volt RCA adapter, you plug it in
How long do they usually?
all night.
Yeah, once you turn it on, and it's adjustable from inside the app, so you can adjust
The voltage.
the voltage, so that'll adjust the temperature on that.
Or if you have a thermistor,
Yeah.
it will do it itself. So it'll say, okay, it'll get the dew, it'll get your temperature, it'll get everything you need, and it'll adjust your voltage based on those qualities of the air.
Nice.
So you don't even have to worry about it.
And these, they just came up with another new tech, so this little ring that's in here comes off, and another ring goes in it that is the heater. So it replaces that ring. So I just put one on mine, so now you just need a regular dew shield instead of a dew shield and a heater or one with built in. It puts it right on the glass, so it acts a little faster.
Right. So I just put some suggested starter scopes. Some of them we've spoken about already. The Skywatcher 10-inch Dobsonian is a nice light bucket, like we spoke about. Really, really nice. You're gonna get a lot of resolution on there. It's a little bit bigger than this. 8-inch is good. 10-inch is good. They make them all. I like the collapsible Dobsonians as well. They also make those as well. If you're worried about form factor, where you want to make it half the size, you're able to do that with the Skywatchers. I saw somebody with a Star Sense in the back. These are really, really good. I love these for beginners because you know what? It works with your cell phone. You take your cell phone, you put it in a bracket, it's got a mirror, it shines the light of the stars into your iPhone. And it knows where the telescope is pointing because it has your satellite location, it's got your altitude, your latitude, your longitude, it's got everything.
Puts a little
And
arrow.
all it does is say, okay, I want to see Jupiter. Hit Jupiter, and it gives you an arrow. And you move the telescope to the arrow gets shorter, and then it turns into a yellow bullseye, and then a green bullseye. Once you get the green bullseye, you look at the eyepiece, and boom, it's there.
Wow.
It's that easy. It's that easy. Those star senses are unbelievable. However, there is page 14, I think, if I remember right, in the catalog, in the user manual, that people don't read the user manual. And I didn't do it either, so I had to reset the whole darn thing. But if you don't do the proper calibration the first time in your phone, do it again.
And
Reset
more for the
it,
guys
do it
in the
again.
room. Read the instructions.
Yeah,
guys.
RTFM, right?
More for the guys.
You know, so those are really good. They make a bunch. They make Dobsonians with that bracket on it now. And as a matter of fact, you taught me this. Was there are 3D printed hacks that for that bracket that you could slap on something like this and it'll work.
Yeah.
This doesn't have that bracket, but you can make the bracket. You can stick it on there and it works.
There's even somebody that came up with another app, I believe it's called like Popcorn.
Popcorn,
something.
yep.
Yeah, and you can literally just take your phone and put it like this on the knob, like a little piece of Velcro, and you just put it like that on the
yeah.
knob, and it'll do the same thing. It's like an open source program that people are always updating. So, but if you like Celestron, you can print out that same type of bracket, put a mirror in it, and get the same results.
Yep.
It's just
It's amazing.
The tech is incredible. Yeah.
All right, so there's some contact information. I know we're about right. That's about an hour. So that's my phone number, email, and my website. We have everything you can think of with Astroworld telescopes. We have every single thing you want, with the exception of ZWO. They don't like me.
So ZWO, they're
Where are you?
It's out of my house in Stony Brook.
Stony Brook.
Yeah. So, but I don't have a store shop. But if you want to meet somewhere, if you want to do something, I'm always around for that.
Okay.
So if you want to go and I've gone to so many people's houses on Long Island, it doesn't even matter. I'm not an axe murderer or anything. You know, so.
Oh.
you can meet at your local police station.
Yes, yeah, no problem. We can do that. Yeah. right in the police parking lot, 4th precinct.
Where would you say are the best open space places on Long Island?
Do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
If you haven't done it yet, well,
Is it time?
Long Island is not great in general. However, you get your permit, you go to Long Island permit, and you get 7 different things, including Robert Moses, Sunken Meadow, Hither Hills, Montauk.
We live in Guam. Most of you are from the South Fork here, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're basically just want, like, if you have a beach pass, like I know a lot of people have like East Hampton beach passes, things like that. Absolutely, that is your best bet. Get away from the lights.
Yep.
All right. I know the nicer thing, like out by us, it's a lot harder. So the nice thing is we have this stargazer permit, which is only given on like, certain month to a certain month. You have to go get it. But then they give you, I think it's like 6
Well,
or
you can
7
do it online
different parks. Yeah.
You can do it online now.
And
Yeah.
you can go to those parks after a certain hour because normally state parks close at sunset.
Yeah, but those stargaze, because I was getting them every year, I forgot this year.
Yep.
Like Robert Moses,
Yeah.
Yep.
can't leave the parking lot.
Right.
What do you mean you can't leave the parking lot?
They want you to stay in the
They want
parking
you to
lot,
stay in the parking
Well,
lot.
where would you go?
on the beach.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's always been like that. They don't want you on the beach.
You don't want to be bringing your equipment.
Yeah, I would. You got salt spray, you got sand, you got
Yeah.
Which one?
No, Montauk.
Montauk Point. Yeah, is that a state?
I wish
That's
I
a
was
state
that
park.
close to Montauk.
Yeah, it's a
I could
state
use
park.
that as a place
Yeah,
to
see,
go.
I've done camp Euro.
Yeah, you were talking about it before.
Not bad. I mean, I got some great Milky Way shots up there.
Okay, so here's the other thing too. Anywhere out here, all right, you guys are probably 5 and below. I'm a mortal 5. I live all the way down by Smith's Point Beach in
That's
Mastic
where I
Beach.
am.
So it's a decent. I mean, I get great photographs from there, especially when there's no moon and it's nice and dark.
Well,
and
where do you
it's
go down there?
My backyard.
Okay.
So, but the marina is open till midnight.
What, the property?
The
owners?
boat launch, the boat launch,
Oh, over there.
all the way down.
Oh, maybe I've seen you, because someone shows up there once in a while, or something like that.
Could have been me. Could have been me.
Because I thought about that.
There's a couple of us, like, we're trying to get something to come down, on Floyd Manor, we're trying to get like a whole thing.
Oh, yeah, I was telling you about that. But you?
So,
who's
there's a
involved
bunch,
with
John
it?
Prudenti is organizing it, but there's a whole
Okay.
bunch of people involved. But
We good.
find your local organization. For you guys, East Hampton Observatory. Like,
Yep.
Donna is your go-to. Find out when things are going on easily, because they're like, we're on the email list as well,
Yep.
and I always get her emails, and they're always awesome, telling you about what events are coming up, celestial events, things you can see. So if you do have a telescope, you can be ready for it, because that's the biggest thing. Is like, you find out something is tomorrow, and you haven't taken your telescope out in months, and you're not prepared for it, and you're going to miss it because it's just going to happen then. So those are things to think about too. Again, keeping it simple, which is the one you're going to grab and be able to use the fastest when something's happening, when you want to go out and see the space station fly over. I mean, people, like, there's a guy who I'm an acquaintance with on Facebook, Astro Falls, his name is Bray. He went to the astronaut's hometown with his 11-inch Edge, the same telescope I have, set it up in the astronaut's hometown, and when this guy did his spacewalk, he photographed him from his hometown. It was in the newspaper.
Yep.
And the picture, you can see the space station, and there's a little white dot, and there's an arrow pointing to it, and that's him. And everybody in that town got to see their local astronaut walk outside the space station, because it just so happened to fly over his town. And this guy planned, because he knew it, to fly from LA to, I think it was like Tennessee or one of the
Yeah,
Midwest
yeah.
towns, and set it up for all of these people to see this guy fly over. And you, I mean, the space station, you can't miss it. It's this bright dot that comes across. And they'll miss it in a few years, so that thing deorbits and
Yeah, well.
crashes.
Yeah.
So, again, if that's the setting up something like this, if you're not ready for it, it's gonna take, used to take me 40 minutes to set up that giant mountain
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes, especially in winter, that's the best time to go. When it's cold out at night and it's clear and dry and crisp, I made my mother cry with planetary, visual shots from my 11-inch. Like, it's so clear and beautiful. That's when it shines. And if it takes you that long to set something up,
You're not gonna do it.
yeah.
Yeah. Especially when it's 30 degrees outside.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. I mean, I don't know how many times I went down to Custer, and in the middle of December, January, February, and it was 28, 26 degrees. Thank
But-
God there's a building in there that you can walk into and warm up, because it's just, it's a lot. But now in the days you talk about
But-
Gray Falls,
Oh, it's freezing.
now go get your wine. You know,
That's
but
it.
Gray Falls now is running Starfront Observatories down in Texas.
Yeah.
Where if you take a look at that, you can actually sit there. That's one of these things where you do remote observing, where you actually send your telescope to Texas. And they set it up for you, and you remote into it from here, and you watch the pictures come across. And in the darkest
It's like
skies,
these on steroids.
well, no, they actually have something called the Sea Star
Okay.
Bar.
This is not-
So there's about 90 of those little telescopes on this platform in one of these buildings in Texas that they pay $49 a month just to put it down there. Yeah, $49 a month. I think they just raised it to $99 though. but I'm telling you,
But you're in a darker sky, clear, if that's what you want.
I put mine down there and I love it. I love it. I do. But again, if you got a friend that's involved in it and you go in halvesies, now it's $25 a week instead of $200 a month. So it's one of those things that's gaining a lot of ground in the United States. It's amazing. Starfront Observatory has just opened up their 10th building. They have over 400 telescopes. Okay?
Amazing.
There's a place called Astro Peak that's just opening up, same thing. Opening up, and there's there's a really more expensive was Utah Desert Remote. There's
Like Chile.
iTelescope, Chile, Spain. You could do really some crazy stuff. There's now one in Africa. I mean, it's crazy.
But again, just like
I don't know.
those, it takes, for some people, it takes that magic out of it.
Yeah.
And if you're that person that needs that visual, then get a scope that's gonna be a visual thing for you. And eventually, if you have a little extra money after you get your visual scope and you want something like that you can send out, again, those are like $400 for that little thing.
Yeah.
Really, like they're incredible for how much they cost. And this is one company. There's a couple different companies making them now.
Yep.
They even make them big like this, where you
Bigger.
have. I have a
6 inch.
Unistellar at the
Yeah.
school. They have bigger ones that do the same exact thing as those, except they're huge.
Yep.
So it's as far as you want to go. But again, if you're not going to take it out and you're just going to hang clothing on it, just like all those treadmills and steppers and things that sit in the living room, it's a sin. So, and something that I do that, Dan has always helped me with because he helps me get parts is I like to restore telescopes that people have been shoving in their basement, and we make them better, and we invite like foster kids to come to the college, we give them a tour of the observatory, and they leave with a telescope. So those telescopes, things that are just sitting in basements, it's just, like for us, it's the worst thing in the world because there's so much magic inside of there that nobody's ever gonna see.
From a closet.
From a closet, yeah, or a basement, or a garage. So that's why I say keep it as simple as possible. If you're gonna use it, that's the one to go with.
Absolutely.
And if you brought it, you already have it, we'll help you take a look and figure it out.
Absolutely.
Like that is a Dob, but it's called a tabletop Dob. Can you hold that up for a second? So this is the same as a Dob here, but again, look how sturdy that is. So if you have like a nice little table that you sit at outside, you put that on it and it's nice and sturdy. So there's nothing to, the wind doesn't affect something like that as much. And that's the Star Sense too. That's that little thing on the side of the bracket that your phone
Put your
goes
phone
in.
on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are great little telescopes. And they come as tabletop Dobs. They come as full-size tripod. And they come as
That's why you're here.
big ones like that.
No problem. We'll get to you.
Yeah, you can get a 10-inch version like that of that scope.
Yep.
So, there's, again, it's what you want to spend and what
What you want to
use.
carry.
And what you want to carry.
How big is your car? When you start buying your car based on how big your telescope is, they thought I was crazy. I would sit there with a tape measure because I knew how long my 18-inch, because it's on wheelbarrow handles, and I didn't want to take the handles off. So I just wanted to push it in the car and go. It had to be 62 inches.
That's
Put the
ramps.
seats down. I would go, can you put the seats down for me? Nope, can't get it. Can't get it. But thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us. I appreciate it. I open up for questions.
Yeah.
So at Suffolk Community, you open it up to the public, some of these people?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so the biggest event that we do every year is called Science After Dark. It's in late October, usually around the weekend of the 17th or 18th. And our first year we did it, we had like 350 people. The next year we did it, we had almost 800.
Wow.
So it was a big event, and we set up good, like 8 different telescopes outside and have them pointed at all different things. And then there's also activities inside the building. So physics, chemistry, there's geology, like, they make slime, there's all kinds of activities and stuff. But I got a whole bunch of people who come with their telescopes
Yep.
and we set up outside and it's,
Just hang out.
yeah.
Yeah. Show people stuff.
Yeah, the first
Lot
year
of
we
fun.
even caught a SpaceX launch while we were there. We just saw the plume come out. It was wild, yeah. But if you go onto Suffolk's page and just follow us,
Suffolk Stage,
Suffolk Community College's Facebook page.
oh, Facebook page.
Yeah, if you follow it, then all the
Oh.
events always come on there. If not, I'm sure there's a way to get on the mailing list if you go to the website. But we always send it out anytime we're going to do any events, and we're going to be sending out for the fall once everything in the observatory, once I finish all the new wiring and all the new stuff, we're going to have a nice big grand opening on the new observing deck up there. So,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Pretty cool.
I was gonna say, I think if people brought their telescopes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have some help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
open
just
now.
take it
You don't have to sit there and stare at it. You can bring them up, stretch out.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.